Welcome back, guys. Notorious here, and this is episode 6 of the My Team series. And in this episode, we are heading towards France for the French Grand Prix. So far this season, we have managed to score points in Baku only, and that was a power track. And now we are heading into another power track, a different kind of power track, but I think we have good chances here. Speeding through the quick practice sessions, you can see me just swapping back and forth between the engine parts, trying to keep my wear down as much as possible. I scored 600 points, Callum scores 200. It's a decent week in terms of our resource points. And heading into qualifying, we actually, I think, managed to get out of Q1 in order to skip through some of the footage, keeping the episode time low, or as low as possible. I will be, I guess, skipping through. So here I am at the end of Q1. I've already managed to set a time before this, and on the second run I managed to improve a bit. Still the first time me running France on this year's game. But Q1 ends here, and if I am not mistaken, I think I make it through. I need to get better at cutting through footage and actually going through these faster, because editing is quite difficult. But I do manage to get through into Q2, 15th place. And now that the memory is coming back to me, I'm recording this on August 22nd, and I played this in the beginning of August. So that's how behind I am. But Q2, our run here, it's better than Q1, but the competition here is too high for us. The car is not close to being there, and we are gonna end Q2 in last place. So P16 for us, 2.5 seconds behind the leader.
Welcome along then to France, host of the world-famous Tour de France. But we're not talking two wheels today, we're talking four, in a country widely thought of as giving birth to the art of motor racing back in the late 1800s. We've come a long way since then, and you're about to find out how far. It's time for the French Grand Prix. We have 15 corners here at the Circuit Paul Ricard, 6 to the left and 9 to the right. The rain is coming down and making for a slippery racing surface, but luckily there is plenty of runoff available, and hopefully we'll be able to avoid bringing out a safety car during today's Grand Prix. And I'm joined once again by Anthony Davidson to bring you the lowdown for today's race. Let's start with Aston Martin. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Perez, Daniel Ricciardo, and Norris, Leclerc, Sainz, Vettel, and Pierre Gasly, Stroll, Tsunoda, Esteban Ocon, and Raikkonen, Ellis, Giovinazzi, Mick Schumacher, and Nikita Mazepin, Eilert, Russell, Latifi, and Fernando Alonso rounds off the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
So we get bumped into P15, Alonso takes a grid penalty, The race starts in rain and 5 lights have gone and away we go. I am not great in wet conditions. This was the first time I've tested the handling model of this year's game in the wet, and let's just say that I'm very sensitive on the way I apply throttle. It does get better for me though the deeper we go into the race, as I guess I get used to the way the car feels. But through turn 1 and 2, and really the first sector, we make up 4 places, I think. P12 behind Stroll, and I think except for a overtake on Sonoda, we are ahead of almost everyone that we should be ahead of, given the car performance on other tracks. I think I was asking or looking at the weather conditions pre-race and thought that light rain was coming very early. So I was mostly noting down what is the point where I can go to inters, and if I can maybe jump 1 or 2 cars by pitting on the correct moment instead of waiting for the AI to make that decision, or Jeff to tell me. So even though we have fresh wets, the lap times are going to be slower and slower for almost everyone. Sonoda pit and someone else pit for damage, I think, on lap 1, which kind of explains why I got ahead of him so easily. I go wide here, completely missing the braking point. And yeah, there you see my throttle application being terrible. Raikkonen gets ahead, and it's time for me to chase him down. But already here I could feel that the grip was really, really bad, and that maybe going on inters and taking a bet would be something to try. But while I have some time over here, I think I would explain why the uploads have been so slow recently. It's just been a lot of work with like real life obligations with work and life, and I don't really get that much time to sit through a 50% race plus quali plus editing and all that. And I'm usually the type of guy who likes to have bulk storage of uploads. So you find a day where you can do a lot of work like this. You put out a lot of effort, and then you have videos to pick from on those days where you can't do YouTube work. So that's the reason why the uploads have been sort of up and down. But we managed to improve a bit, 7 seconds, and we skip to lap 6. And we are below 30% on our ERS.
And wets will probably have similar pace at the moment.
You can hear me asking Jeff there for the weather conditions, and it was a really long time ago, but I really feel like exactly the feeling that I felt at the time of recording this. The grip was so bad.
Right, come in at the end of this lap.
So I make the decision that I want to go to inters before anyone else. And as you can see on the minimap to the right of the screen, nobody actually pits. So if we go for inters as we fight Russell, and I think he pushes us a bit wide here, we are gonna be the first car to go for Inters. Another point I would like to take up is these long career videos. Like, these games have existed for a while now. The cutscenes are pretty much copy-paste from year to year to year. Except for the, I guess, introduction to the race from Crofty. I think I'm thinking of cutting out like excess footage pre-race, like practice and maybe quali maybe, and just have quicker videos, because I can't see myself watching a 33-minute or 26-minute YouTube video where the action is not continuous. It's in short snippets throughout the video. So let me know on that what you would like to see. We do overtake Ocon. Our Inters were definitely the correct strategy. And the car feels completely different, and the grip is actually there now.
The track is drying, but it's going to take a while to clear the standing water off the line. Don't start thinking about slicks just yet.
And you can see Jeff there talking about slicks, and another strategy pops into my mind. And
Check your MFD for a new strategy option.
Jeff wants me to pit twice for Inters, and I thought maybe I can stretch this
confirmed.
set until I need to pit for slicks and save myself 20-25 seconds of pit time, and maybe catch Stroll ahead and score points. So that's the plan from here. We don't want to pit an extra time for Inters, and we are hoping that other people pit for Inters and then have to pit again for softs.
We don't think it's going to stay dry for much longer. The rain could come at any moment. Watch out. Looks like the weather is going to dry up in about 5 minutes. Inters look like the best tyre for now.
And as usual, every year, every game, Jeff is being stupid. Giovinazzi retires into the, I think the first hairpin, or we're about to see
Yellow
him here to
flag.
the right. I think it was a mechanical
Be aware,
retirement.
there's an incident in the next part of the track. No overtaking through the yellow flags.
As you can see, we've already skipped to lap 20. We are still in P12. Nothing has really happened. It was a pretty boring race to drive,
Watch the
and
conditions. We think there's rain coming
even
pretty
to watch
soon.
back.
Current forecast is 5 or 10 more minutes of rain before it dries up. Not sure whether dries or Inters are faster. We're right on the crossover.
Crucially, he says that we are right on the crossover, which usually
Check your
means
MFD for a
that
new
we are
strategy option.
able to go for softs.
Understood. Copy that.
And on lap 21, we are gonna go for it. You can also wait for the DRS to be enabled, and then you would 100% know that the softs or the dry tires are the ones to have. And even though it is kind of raining still, you would be absolutely fine driving 1 lap or 2 laps on the track while it's drying. And all you're really thinking about is saving time, as much time as possible. But I pit, and Raikkonen behind me pits, and we have 29 seconds to Stroll. And all the people on Inters are going very slow because
Callum is in the pits. Callum in
it's
the pits.
a dry track now, and the
Complete.
Inters
Go
are
now.
losing
Pit
time.
Strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now.
So from this point on, you have to try and catch the Inters and do as good a job as you can at
It
gaining
looks like we're
time.
experiencing an ERS software glitch.
But there's always a but. Our battery glitches, and at this point in the game, whenever that happens, it freezes the UI, so you can't actually talk to Jeff anymore while this is on, and it disappears after a few minutes, but you cannot use ERS at this point, and that basically kills any of our chances to get points. It is what it is, not much you can do about it. Raikkonen gets past us fairly easily. I still feel like we have a faster car, but without ERS it's kind of difficult to make the moves. Stroll ahead also has pitted for softs, and he, after pitting, has a bank time of 17 seconds. So our main battle is going to be here with Kimi for P12. Skipping through to lap 24. We do make the overtake into turn 1. And Vettel has also joined our little fight here with Kimi and myself. And the Aston Martin is just flying at this point. It's a faster car, fresh softs. There is no point in trying to stop him. All you can do is try to tuck in the slipstream and do your best to follow. And hopefully he will get us closer and closer to Raikkonen. There might be a DNF in the top 10, and if you are P11, like Kimi there, you might get lucky and score a point. But overall, I think we had a correct strategy in going to Inters. We do overtake Vettel there. Pitting for the Inters at the right time was really good. This is the overtake from me again on the Aston Martin. Get a better exit on the turn. And going to soft was also a really good idea. We were basically a lap earlier than everyone else. And if I didn't do that, I think I wouldn't even be in this P11, P12 battle. I think I would be further down with Alonso and Tsunoda, I think. In reality, I don't even think showing this footage is crucial, but I just found that the that overtake was looking kind of cool. But here we are, lap 27, final corner, following Vettel. We have a purple sector too, but we are gonna finish in P12.
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
That's it for another Grand Prix and a fantastic win for Mercedes. What do you think it was, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition today?
Well, this was a real team victory. They put together a solid strategy today that appeared well suited to the conditions out on track. The driver did everything that was expected of them in the moment to really execute the team's plan to perfection, a shining example of how F1 really is a team sport.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take top spot, a well-earned victory for Mercedes.
So no points for us today, unfortunately. We were close. But I feel like the car is slowly getting to that consistent point scoring
So then,
area.
it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship. After an incredible performance, Lewis Hamilton secures the top spot in the Drivers' Championship. Now, let's discuss, Ant, who would you say is a contender for Driver of the Day?
Fernando Alonso, wherever he is, whatever team he's in, when is he not just brilliant? He'll give you a performance every time, just like he's done today.
Let's move on to the Constructors. Mercedes continue to extend their lead. It's been an absolutely wild weekend of Formula One action. I can't wait to see what's next.
So Lewis leads the championship. Our only point scoring race so far still is
Amazing
Baku.
performance out there. I'm sure you're pretty happy with that. You really looked in control of your car out there. Your team must be thrilled.
I don't think Claire watched the
How
first
do you
few
feel this
laps on
season
the
is
wet
going for
tires.
you? Is the car competitive? How do you feel the weather affected the outcome today? Great. Well, that's everything.
I actually kind of like the races where you go from dry to wet or wet to dry, because you can take advantage of mistakes and score those points. But we are getting closer and closer to Team Acclaim 10 for our next sponsor. And we go through some R&D here. Most of our departments are full, and we are going to focus a lot more on fixing our aero.
Okay,
It's,
we'll have the new parts come through the fabrication process. We'll have them with us for the next Grand Prix.
Aero is going to be the most important from now on. But this is it for this episode. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.